Today we're talking about lists. Lists are basically the same as arrays, except they're open-ended. You don't have to pre-specify a size. And there's a number of ways of specifying arrays. I did a tutorial on arrays previously, but I really didn't enumerate all the different ways you can specify arrays. For instance, you can say string square brackets name equals new string 5, which basically creates an array of size 5 with no values in. Or you can just say string square bracket names, and then later on in the program say names equals new string 5, which would create an array of size 5. And if you wanted later on, you could even change the size of the array by saying names equals new string 10. Or you can use what's known as an initializer list, where you can say, for instance, int square bracket numbers equals new int 5 to create an array of 5 integers, and then have a curly brace and specify 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to initialize entry 0 with 1, entry 2 with, or entry 1 with 2, entry 2 with 3, and so on. Or you can say int square bracket numbers equals new int square bracket with no size, and then the compiler will pick up on the size. It needs to be 5 just by the size of the initializer list. And of course do the same thing with string or with int or with any type value. Or if you want, you can just say string square bracket names equals, and then just have an initializer list without having the new string or specifying a size, because the compiler will realize that you want an array of names that's of size 3 and that's initialized with these 3 values. So this is the shorthand way of specifying it, probably the way most used by people that program a lot. The difference with a list declaration is you pretty much just specify it one way. You use the keyword list, and then you have an angle bracket, not a square bracket but an angle bracket like HTML tags, and then you have the type of the list. So if you say list angle bracket string angle bracket, you're going to create a list of strings, and the name of this list is names. And then you say new list, and you need to specify string again. And then you have a couple parents, like instantiating a class. And then once you've created a list of this name, you can add any number of values. You're not limited to the number of values you can add. And you do that with the add method. Say names.add and then quotation mark Doug quotation mark. So you'll have a list of size 1. And then if you say names.add quotation mark Karen quotation mark, I'll have a list of size 2, and names square bracket 0 will be equal to Doug. You specify a list with square brackets when you're assigning them or printing them out. So in terms of printing out and assigning, they look the same, but in terms of increasing the size, you need to use the add method. And you can do the same thing with any type. You can say list angle bracket int angle bracket numbers equals new list angle bracket int angle bracket parent, and then do a numbers add 12. Needless to say, it has to be of integer type when you do the add. Well, let's look at an example of this. We have a list angle bracket string angle bracket Fred equals new list angle bracket string angle bracket parent. And as I say in the comment, you could specify any type, list int, list float, etc. And then we have an add that adds 4 values. So we'll have a list of size 4, and the first element would be 0, the second 1, the third 2, and the last one 3. And then I have a message box that says list element 3 is equal to, and I have Fred square bracket 3 square bracket. And you can do useful things with lists. I have a number of methods and so on. So if we wanted to sort the list, for instance, we could say Fred.sort parent. And then if we want to enumerate through the list, we can use the for each. And the way the for each works is you have a variable of the same type as the elements of the list. So I have string Joe, and I say in Fred. And the for each will basically take Fred 0 and assign it to Joe, and then do the body of the loop. And they'll come up again, and it'll increment an invisible pointer, and then say Fred 1, set that equal to Joe, and then go through the body of the loop, and so on with 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And in order to show this more clearly, I have a integer ix that initially set to 0, and then I increment it each time after the message pops up showing what the element values are, one after another, enumerating through it. So let's compile and run this and see how it works. Basically, you click the list button, and I say list element 3 equals Jason, if you remember the ordering, which was just a random ordering without them being ordered alphabetically. And if I click OK, it'll say sorting list, and then it'll do that dot sort method. And they say enumerating list, and it starts to go through the for each loop. And now element 0 is Doug, alphabetically the first one. Element 1 is Glorine, alphabetically the second one. Element 2 is Jason, which is, if you recall, element 3 used to be Jason. And then finally element 3 is Karen, the alphabetically last member. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and learned a lot from it, and don't forget to subscribe.